This video is sponsored by the Pure Upright Piano app. It's really not uncommon to see the same chord progression be used time and time again in a whole range of different songs. I've made a bunch of videos now about some of the most common chord progressions of all time, but there's still plenty of chord progressions I can talk about which get used in a whole range of different songs from different eras and different styles. So let's start off by looking at this chord progression: 1, 5, flat 7, 4. In the key of C, that's C, G, B flat, F.
It could be time, but then again I can't remember half an hour since I got it up.
I'll be over at 10, you told me time and again, but you're late.
Haven't thought of you lately at all.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to.
Her name is Rio and she dances on the sand.
Now show me love, show me life. You know set you free. You got me wrapped around your finger. Do you have to let it linger? Do you have to?
Satellite of love. Satellite of love.
Something goes to me Japanese, I really think so. Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so.
We're gonna get it together right now. We're gonna get it together somehow. We're gonna get it together and fly. I've never done good things. I've never done bad things. I've never did anything out of the blue.
Now there's two really interesting things about this chord progression in my opinion. The first is it's an example of sequence. Sequence is an idea in music which we often use to talk about melody. Sequence is when we get a phrase, a short snippet of a melody, and then to extend that phrase out into a longer melody, we'll then do the exact same thing but we'll move it up or down in the scale. So we could then do it here. Same thing, just recycled up or down in the scale. In this example we just moved up a third. Now that's in melody, but we can do the same thing in a chord progression. So for example, in this chord progression that we have, the 1, 5, 7, 4, between the first two chords, all we're really getting is a major chord and then another major chord down a fourth. And then the second half of the progression is the same thing. A major chord and then another major chord down a fourth. It's sequence, harmonic sequence. And why sequence is important, whether it's in melody or in a chord progression, is it makes it sound logical. It makes it sound like the parts are meant to go together, because they effectively are the same thing, just transposed up or down in the scale. They're made to go together. So it makes the chord progression sound very cohesive, very satisfying. So that's the first thing that I find really interesting about that chord progression. The second thing is the way it mixes two different scales, two different modes. The first two chords belong to the major scale. But as you might have noticed, the B flat chord, the flat 7 chord, doesn't belong in the major scale. This is actually from a similar scale called the Mixolydian scale, which is exactly the same as the major scale, but has a flattened 7th degree, i.e. B flat. Mixolydian has a sort of cooler, more mellow sound than the major scale, in my opinion. So blending those two together, the major scale and the Mixolydian, gets a nice hybrid of these two different sounds. The next chord progression I want to talk about is what I would call the major scale climb, where we start on the first chord of the key, then we go up to the 2 chord, then the 4 chord, and then the 5 chord. So in the key of C, that would be C, D minor, F, G. Now I also call this the Miguel chord progression because it's the chord progression from Miguel by the Temptations. And it's just a very simple major scale chord progression, but with that one very obvious characteristic of ascending, of climbing up, which obviously can play really nicely into the mood of a song.
What can make me feel this way?
Please, baby, please let me see beneath your beautiful. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my tongue.
Come, turn a little faster. Come on, I know you can work it fast food all your life, but don't sign that.
How wonderful life is while you're in the world.
The piano sound you've been hearing in this video so far isn't the internal sound of my keyboard, but actually today's sponsor, a piano app called Pure Upright. Pure Upright is a really impressive iOS virtual instrument. Pure Upright runs on your iPhone or your iPad, and you can control it using either a Bluetooth MIDI adapter like I am here, or by using any other iOS audio interface. Pure Upright has a lovely, warm, characterful sound, and you can actually adjust and adapt the sound of the piano using this morph pad control in real time. I'm genuinely impressed by the quality of this plugin. Having a piano sound like this in my pocket at all times is really useful. To find out more about Pure Upright, follow the links down below. This next chord progression is very much a classic major scale sound. It's 1, 4, 1, 5. Now, this chord progression literally just stays within the major scale, no frills, no whistles, but it's very effective. It's sort of just your bread and butter chord progression. And what is sort of the essential element of this chord progression is a sense of movement. So in this chord progression, we start on the 1 chord, which is our tonic, our home bass. It's completely at rest. Then we move to the 4 chord, which introduces a bit of tension. This chord is what we call the subdominant. It has tension, it wants to move, but it's not begging to move. We can sort of stay here a little while if we want to. We then move back to the tonic chord, giving us that sense of resolution again. And then to keep us moving again, we now move to the 5th chord of the key, which is called the dominant chord. And dominant function chords have a lot of tension. They really want to move back to home. So this combination of tonic, subdominant, tonic, dominant keeps the chord progression moving forward. It means we can just keep looping it and let the ideas develop up above.
Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came.
So let's go beyond the major scale now and look at a different type of scale, a different type of tonality. This is the Phrygian vamp, a 2-chord chord progression which you can use to evoke the sound of the Phrygian scale. So in this key here, E Phrygian, it's simply the chord progression E minor and F. It's just a very simple, straightforward way to evoke that Phrygian sound, that slightly dark, eerie tone.
That thing, miss, can I shake that thing, miss, and I better shake
Right now, I'm on your head right now.
Turn you down, boy. Put your eyes on me.
The last chord progression I want to look at is another quite simple one, but very effective one that just gets the job done, and it's 4, 1, 5. Now there's different ways that you can arrange this chord progression. You could spend 2 bars on the 4 chord and then 1 bar on the 1 and 5, but in this instance I'm spending 1 bar on 4, 1 bar on the 1 chord, and then 2 bars on the 5 chord. And for me this chord progression just has a sense of keeping things moving, because it starts on not on the tonic chord, it starts on the 4th chord of the key, which as I mentioned before has subdominant function. It means when we kick into this chord progression, we already know, our ears already know that we need to move, we need to go somewhere else, which we do. We then get our resolution, but before we even get a chance to properly settle into that resolution, we then go to the dominant chord, as I mentioned earlier, the most tense chord in the key. So because we're on this 5 chord and because we get it for 2 bars in a row, we very much get that sense of we need to keep moving. And then because we then only move to the 4 chord, not the 1 chord, it kind of keeps this perpetual loop going of we're moving, we're trying to get to that resolution, and we're getting teased by the resolution when we get the 1 chord, but we're not quite getting there, which can be great in a song when you're trying to sort of build tension, build energy and excitement.
Losing him was blue like I never known. Missing him was dark gray all alone.
So all the beautiful girls, they will fade like the roses.
It's second nature to walk home before the sun goes down, and put your keys between your knuckles when there's boys around. If you're not in it for love,
I hope you know that this has nothing to do with you.
I have no choice. I hear your voice. Feels like love.
I know the summer is set to rise.
Waging my wars behind my face and above my throat.